Friends and family, older adults, thank you for joining me for another episode of Geriatric World. My name is Dr. Thomas. Today we're going to be talking about medical durable power of attorney. It is sometimes abbreviated as DPOA. Before we actually get into the nitty gritty of this topic, I want to reference a previous topic which I talked about financial abuse and how to protect older adults from financial abuse. In that topic, I did address financial power of attorney. So if you're interested in that information, please look at the video for financial abuse to learn about financial power of attorney. So today we're going to specifically be focusing on medical durable power of attorney. Why? So why do older adults need a medical power of attorney? The medical power of attorney is a document that allows an older adult to assign someone that they trust who can act in their best interest if a situation should arise where medically they are unable to direct their care. This person then becomes their voice. They are able to help consent to treatment and direct management of their medical affairs. Another way I kind of explain to older adults and their families about the durable medical power of attorney and its importance is I use the example of a will. Most older adults, by the time they pass away, already have a will in place where they have an executor of the will, and that person makes sure that their wishes are carried out, but also make sure that whatever the financial affairs that they've specified is carried out appropriately. And that's the same way the medical durable power of attorney is, but it's more for when the individual is still here, they're still alive. But unfortunately, a situation has arisen medically where they cannot consent to treatment, they cannot direct their care. And so that person then steps into the role of consenting to treatment, directing the care for the older adult. Appointed for a medical durable power of attorney for an older adult. The criteria, it does require that the person who's appointed be 18, that they're mentally competent, also that they are somebody who will be willing to take on the obligation and be able to act in the best interest of the older adult. Usually, I always stress to older adults that when they are appointing someone, whoever they are appointing, not only that they discuss with them what they would want. Will they want to have chest compressions? Will they want to be intubated? Will they want feeding tubes? Discussing different medical scenarios that could come up and what their wishes are, because this would allow, if unfortunately if a medical situation does come up, it can allow the medical power of attorney to be able to act as in the best interest of the patient, as the patient will do if they were medically competent to do so. It is important to note that you can designate more than one person on your durable power of attorney. Some people do it as jointly, so they will designate two people who will work jointly to make decisions on the older adult's behalf, or sometimes there is initially a primary person who's designated, and if something then happens where the primary person is unable to step into that role, then the secondary person then comes in and acts in the best interest of the older adult. Of the durable power of attorney paperwork contains documents which specify when it becomes active. And majority of them are written in language that says that the patient has to be assessed by two physicians to state that the patient does not have capacity, and then it becomes active so that the designant now can speak on the older adult's behalf. Who are the people who need to be involved in filling out the medical power of attorney paperwork? So, the people who need to be involved in this conversation first is the older adults themselves, um, the designants, the either the lawyer or the primary care physician. The other aspect of it is also involving other family members. So if you're choosing, for example, if you're choosing one, if you have four children and you're choosing your middle child to be your designant, I always advocate that apart from just talking to the middle child and conversing and putting it on paper and expressing to them what you want done or not done, but it's also important conveying that information to all the rest of the rest of your children and also other family members who are invested in your care, because we run into situations where information has not been communicated to other family members, and when medical emergency arise where now the designant has to now speak for the older adults, it creates a lot of conflict because sometimes family members who've not been informed might have a different opinion or idea of what is in the best interest of the older adult, and this creates a lot of conflict and tension. So I always advocate that it is important not only to tell the designant, have a conversation about what you want done. If you want chest compression, if you want feeding tubes, if you want to be intubated, if you want to be kept on life support, if you want to be in a nursing home, if you don't want to be in a nursing home, if you want to be home and supported, how to be able to go about doing those things. But in having those conversations, not only with the designant but with other family members. So when those medical situations arise, when the older adult is unable to make those decisions and the designant now come in to make those decisions, the family is there supporting that person, because it is really difficult and challenging. These are not simple decisions. Some of them are life altering decisions, and so it is most important that everybody be on the same page, because it can be extremely stressful and also very challenging. So I am always advocating that have the conversation. It's not an easy conversation to have. That's why also it is important that sometimes you include your primary care physicians. Also, I do suggest to older adults that they take their children to those appointments so that they can sit in on it. That they also, if they are uncomfortable in having those conversations with their children one-on-one, having their primary care physician there as an intermediary can help facilitate those conversations. So please take advantage. These are very important conversations to have. They're not easy conversations, but they're important and they are much needed. So next question, how does a living will differ from a medical durable power of attorney? First and foremost, a living will is a document that has to do with information on what an older adult will want done on their deathbed. it does not appoint an advocate for them. It does not appoint an advocate to manage their health care. The other thing also is that with the living will, in some states it is recognized and in other states it's not. In those states where it isn't recognized, if there isn't a durable power of attorney, medical durable power of attorney available, then sometimes the medical establishment do look at the living will to sometimes help guide them in helping make decisions with regards to management of healthcare for the older adults if they are in situations where they are unable to speak for themselves or consent to care. I hope this video has been helpful to older adults and their families on recognizing why a medical durable power of attorney is very much needed for everybody, not just older adults but also young adults. If you have any questions, please comment. Feel free to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for further topics coming up from Geriatric World. Thank you.